Okay, well, welcome to night 3 in the series, the Roanoke Artist Series. Tonight we're focused on art in Roanoke, our temporary exhibition, and we've had a number of them. And tonight I want to walk a little bit through why we do them and such, and we'll get there. But again, we're doing this series really in order to create a stronger network for artists, more opportunities, and to have more successful calls. So we're posting all of these sessions online so we can point people to them. It's also helping us look back and kind of hone our philosophy on why we do what we do and how we can do even more with what we're doing. And we talked about the public art program and the arts commission, and we looked at the collection, the highlights from the collection, like the temporary exhibitions, and then the next night we're going to have Ann Glover talk about Trojan Dog, and then David Sheldon talk about Guidance Tower. And then we're going to go a little bit deeper into getting art in place and talk on October 20th, talk about insurance and contracting, which is going to be, I think, fun. We've got some guests coming in for that too. And we know that Jane's here and I'm here. And Jane, I got a question for you. Are you ready to put on the
Okay.
spot? So what
I guess.
we do temporary exhibitions of sculpture periodically, and what benefit do you see in that?
Give me an example of a temporary sculpture. I mean, wasn't Ann Glover's dog supposed
Yeah,
to be temporary to begin with?
there's a good long history about Ann Glover's. We'll hear next time, but we have temporary. We do a temporary exhibit. We've got one running right now. The last few of them have been on the art walk in Elmwood. So we put art on the pedestals in Elmwood Park, and it lasts for 2 years. And but we don't keep it forever. We basically rent it or lease it from the artist. And there are probably pluses and minuses for that. Do you have any? Do you have any? Have you noticed that art down there?
I really haven't. Last 2 years I've been traveling with my business, and then this year's COVID, so I haven't really even been down there. I went to the B-52s concert. That's it.
Oh yeah,
Um,
gosh, that was a while
so,
ago.
but I mean, I would say that maybe perhaps it's not as big an investment if it's just a temporary sort of rental or lease. Shakes up the area where it's at and draws attention to it for a period. Just changes people's environment so they notice different things, see different things, and you can be more topical. Like, for instance, perhaps if you wanted to get a Black Lives Matter installation, this would be an excellent time to do that. That's all I got.
Fantastic. That was spot on. So let me talk. We're gonna get to exactly what you just referred to. We're gonna talk about our goals, like why we do the temporary exhibits, what temporary exhibits we've done, and then what we might do. And that's going to be real conversational because, like you said, I'd never really thought about that. The fact that you can do a very topical call. That had not even crossed my mind. It's not even on the list. See, this is why we're doing this as well, seriously, because this is a community art program, and we want the artists in the community, people who care about art, to help us shape it. So at the same time that we're talking about what we're doing, and I said it's kind of helping us hone our philosophy. We're developing our philosophy and our approach as well. And we're going to talk more about that as we go. So I've got some goals here. Like, yeah, we can try things on. It doesn't cost a whole lot, but we can better understand what the community likes and what they don't like. I love you hit number 3 too. You said invite new looks at existing spaces. So we might not even notice a corner until we put some art on it. Go, oh yeah, that is a nice little patch of space there. Keeping things fresh, like you said, less money than a purchase. And right now we've got the the Elmwood Art Walk, which has pedestals or plinths for us to put art up, and we've kind of got to program it. So sculpture's expensive, and doing temporary exhibits like this is a lot more, makes it a lot more feasible to keep something there. And then we think this time we can use this this call to encourage more local artists to submit and to, you know, grow the media that they work in. And our temporary exhibits, we put about $4,000 a piece into a rental for the 2 years. So each piece we put about $4,000 in. The artist gives it to us. We record these for the 2 years. We put a call out, and we use it in the past. We've used this the National Artist Network, and where it calls for entry cafe. Have you ever looked at that, Jane?
What?
The cafe, the online artist calls.
I don't think so.
And it's a big national thing. It's free for the artist. If the artist wants, if you want to look and see like what communities are putting calls out, the community has to pay. So it can be kind of expensive for us. And I got to look at it and see if we're going to use that this time or not. I did talk to a muralist last week from another community in Virginia, and he said that he goes on there and looks at them, but he said he'd had a hard time ever getting called on one or getting selected. So when we put it out on there, we get a lot more proposals, but the proposals come in from all over the country, and so we'll look at that this time. You know, we said on this next temporary exhibit, we want to get, you know, at least half of the pieces or 4 of the pieces we want to get from local artists. And with the temporary exhibit, like all of our exhibits, we have a community selection panel that selects the pieces. So our temporary exhibit, the very first one we did was in 2008, and that was when we, you know, first had the Percent for Art Fund. And we really wanted to see what the community liked, and so we did one round of that, and people enjoyed it. We did another round of it, and then we got the art walk, and we've done 3 exhibits on the art walk. So coming up in 2021, we're going to do our 6th temporary sculptural exhibit. And one cool, like I said, we can try things on for size. We do have a track record now of an average of 1 piece per exhibition we purchased. You know, we don't have to. Each one has come about in a different way, but everything from Mark Yale Harris's Recoil, Ann Glover's Trojan Dog, Influx, down on the Greenway. On the art walk, there are 2 pieces, and one's Descending Night by Jack Howard Potter, and then Hill Climb. And I should say too, we have assistance when we purchase these. We don't have a whole lot of money in the Percent for Art Fund, but when we partner it with other funds, it helps us do more. And we had a partnership with Downtown Roanoke Incorporated. They helped put money into the Descending Night. And then Visit Virginia's Blue Ridge helped us purchase Hill Climb, which makes a lot of sense because they really work to market the region as a mountain bike, the East Coast mountain biking capital. So there's a sculpture with bikes heading up the mountain. It just worked out really well that way.
What is AIR?
AIR stands for Art in Roanoke, and that was just, you know, in 2008, that was just the name that somebody came up with. I can't remember who did. I remember us sitting around the table talking about it, and I'm going to say Nathan. I'll say that Nathan, who was the chair, Nathan Harper, who was the chair at that point or around that point, I'm going to give him credit for it. I'm not sure if that's the case or not, but I'm going to say he's the one who came up with it. And it also, but it does cause a little confusion because AIR also stands for artist in residence. So a lot of times people see AIR and they go, oh, that's a residency program, but it's not. And we've had one piece that was given to the city, and that was this one that was, I guess Roanoke would be the way you say it, maybe kind of the Native American Roanoke, means money. But this was when they redid Elmwood Park. This tree was in Elmwood Park, and it was an elm tree in Elmwood Park, and I think it was an elm. I guess they still had elm then. I should know that before I start saying things. It was a tree. It was a tree in Elmwood Park, and the artist took the tree and kind of deconstructed it, and put it, and so it's got, you can't really see it that well. It's got blocks coming out where the lens would be coming out, and it's now on the greenway. And this is wood. It's not going to last forever, but so I guess it's going to be interesting to watch it as it decomposes over a long period of time there in the park. And then, so the first year, I took this a little while ago, just in the office today. I'd forgotten how cool our marketing materials were for this. It was, we apparently we had some money then to market, to put together a little catalog, and we did individual cards for each of the pieces, and we had a die cut map to the art, had the map, and then each of the descriptions on the front and back of a card. And this first art in Roanoke went all over the city. So we had a piece over on Williamson Road at the library. We had one on 10th Street over at Lick Run Greenway. We had one in Southeast over at Belmont, and then one in South Roanoke, and so we got all over the city. And each of the pieces, I don't know, each one has each round of this has a little bit of a different character, and I should put some thought into how I would describe it. But you can, I don't know if you remember any of these, Jane. Do you remember any of these being around town?
A couple of them.
That one, the comma down at the bottom, Lee Badger did it, and it was on there over at Wells Fargo Plaza or John Nolan Plaza there downtown where the Christmas tree goes. And it spun, and kids loved to spin that.
That's really cool.
Yeah, and he loved it. And once in a while you walk by and there'd be a kid just hanging on it. But the artist really enjoyed that people interacted with it so much. The next round too, we did all around the city. And this one I was looking at, I was like, wow, this was just pretty whimsical. And this is the one that Trojan Dog was first constructed in. And Charlie Brower, Happy Wanderers, they were over at Lick Run Greenway in the first round.
That's my greenway.
What'd you say?
That's the greenway that's near me that I walk to Valley View Mall. So I remember those.
Yeah. And then, so we had it there on the greenway, and we'd had some trouble with it. And the Arts Commission members on this would adopt one. So I was the buddy for Happy Wanderer, and twice heads got knocked off of it.
Oh man.
Yeah, but Charlie came and fixed it. But we decided after that first round, I loved that one. I thought it was
yeah.
And then we moved it over to Valley View, right there at the end of that at Valley View Mall. Yeah, yeah, I like those. So and we get different people like different things. So sometimes people come up and say, hey, I really don't care for one of these, and well, there are 7 or 8 more of them out there for you to enjoy. And again, we did the same thing for this one. And with this, we really did want to have a map, and we wanted to say, yeah, we want to get out in neighborhoods, and we want you to get out in neighborhoods and find the art. So that's why we thought it was important to put together the marketing materials. Then when Elmwood Art Walk was redone, and it's beautiful. I just think that's a great space. We do have the art walk, and it's got 10 plinths. So we've decided, okay, well, let's when we do an exhibit, let's have it open with Festival in the Park, and then we'll do a People's Choice Award so we can engage folks. And the first year, this is when we started doing the themes. So the first theme year on Elmwood was the natural city, and we've got with that time we had professional videos done of each of the artists. This is Dan Keel. He constructed his piece, which is called Leaf, and it was, it wasn't made to last forever outdoors, but it lasted. It lasted really well for the 2 years it was out there, and I thought it was a beautiful piece. Let's see, and you know what? There's the video, and what I'll do is post these links too. So I can't really play the video and have the sound come through for you, but we can, with the link, you can look at it later. We also did a video, and this was fun, and I want to do more things like this. When there at Festival in the Park, we interviewed people about the art and asked them what they thought. And it doesn't matter who it is. Everybody's going to have something to say about the art, and I felt that everybody we interviewed was actually pretty eloquent about it, and people think about art. Yeah, it's a cool little video. It's like a little 3-minute video. So we did one in 2015. In 2017, we did the City in Motion. And there's some of the pieces. And these were all again down in Elmwood on the art walk. So it's a little bit of it's not a burden. It's a great thing to have that place for art. But budgetarily, it makes it harder for us to do if we're going to do a temporary exhibit, it's made it harder to get pieces out in the neighborhoods because we got to spend so much to keep it in Elmwood. So I'm looking now this time thinking, okay, well, if we've got 8 plinths down there to fill, maybe we can do we don't have to do them all at once. Especially if we don't have festival. Well, hopefully we'll have Festival in the Park this year. But if we're still come next summer, if we're not gathering a whole bunch of people in one place, it might be that it's even better to more slowly install pieces. And perhaps we can make the exhibit down there plus out in neighborhoods if we're smart about it. We've just got to think through how we do it. And we started using this thing called AutoCast. And if you go down on the art walk, you can use the QR reader, or I guess now the cameras just pick it up if you put it in front of a camera with most phones. And it'll take you to an audio recording with the artist describing the work. And we also did Facebook Live interviews, and those are still out there, and they're on our website. Oh gosh, I've lost his name now. I want to say he's from Tennessee. Oh, I've lost his name. I want to say Jim Collins. Okay, I came up with it. I did it.
Good.
and then this is the current exhibit, and this was called Roanoke Rising. And the artists there's a couple from North Carolina. There's one was a couple from the Eastern Shore, Maryland, one from DC, and the pieces they look great down there. I think it's got a nice consistent feel. Another thing that the temporary exhibits do that we hadn't really thought about before was that when we do a larger piece, and we just commissioned the piece over at the 811-911 call center, the Blue Hills Communication Center, and when we commissioned it, or when we put the call out, we had, I think, 4 artists who had pieces in the temporary exhibit put in for that. So it does get us on the radar a little bit, I guess, for these folks who do much larger pieces. And David Sheldon, the one who did Oracle, that's there in the center, the steel piece, he's the one who did the piece at 811-911 Center. And he did a terrific job with it. And he's going to be we're going to hear from him in a couple of weeks. And then,
Cool.
yeah, so we've got these on the website too. And then, so that's really all, those are all the temporary exhibits we've done. But right now, the collections committee, the next month or two, I guess in the next month, we've got to figure out exactly what we want this call to look like. And that's going to be, what's the theme for the call? What do we want to accomplish with it? How can we best encourage local artists to submit? And I think we're going to come up with some other good strategies that way. I do want to say, let's see, I'm going to point back. This leaf that Dan did, like I said, he did that is a temporary piece. Ann Glover did Trojan Dog as a temporary piece. She just did it out of plywood and marine paint, and she'll talk about that. But those, in the lease or the terms of it, we'll say it's got to last 2 years. It's got to last outside in the elements, 2 winters, 2 summers, 2 summers, 2 falls, and 2 springs. And so if it's going to be out there 2 years, it's got to be durable enough, so it's got to be of a certain, quality standard. But you can do a lot with inexpensive materials. Like this leaf that Dan did was wood and had a mirror built into it and painted, and it looked great. It turned. It was, I really like that piece. Or it can be a piece that costs much more. Like these sculptures, by the time you get the steel and you're fabricating it, you can put just in the materials, you can put a good amount of money into it. Especially, and then if you've got assistants, and some artists are partnering with fabricators, or building teams to do projects. And if you've got more resources you've got to put into it, then then it's a lease. Then the $4,000, it's kind of on a bet in a way. The $4,000 would help pay for the materials. Then you get it back, and then you'd be able to rent it to another community on another call. So there are different ways of doing it. And we're open for either one. I'm sure. Yeah. So I told you it would be a quick one tonight.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's the temporary exhibit. Now, what kind of ideas did it put in your head if you're thinking about what how the community should use the temporary exhibits? Like, what would you like to see the Arts Commission do?
How involved is the public with this art? I mean, are people engaging with it, or are they not?
Yeah, you know what? I think It depends. I've been down there and I've seen people taking pictures with it. Certain pieces like the heart that's out there now, I've seen it a lot in social media and seen it,
Good.
and then, and I've been down, every time I'm down there, I see something happening around it. The last time I went down, I saw there was a woman who has a Facebook page. It's a group encouraging biking for pleasure, and she was down there and she was giving them a challenge of biking for art and appetizers. And so she was standing in front of one of the pieces talking about it. The Otocast, well, he lost his data, but last time I talked to him, and the data he did have, it looked like when we were down there, like a festival, like at a big weekend, and encouraging people to do things, to look at it, it was more used. Yeah. So I guess there are different. I think with all of our collection, there are things that we can do to engage people in it more. Um, yeah.
So I'm excited that as a nation we're starting to have a dialogue about racism.
Mhm.
Do any cities ever do calls for art that has to do with something that edgy and topical?
Well, it was that End Racism Now mural, the way that developed, it was in partnership, and they didn't really do a call, and you were kind of involved in that. I know you talked with them some. Um, I think it's certainly, I'm certain communities must. Oh, you know what? There was a call. I just put it on the Urban Art Project
Did
page. It was a did you see that? It was a
uh,
call out of, it wasn't from a community, but it was from a college. I want to say Rutgers. And it was kind of an anti-racism art call, and you could send them your art and send them a video of you talking about the art, um, which I
oh,
thought was kind of,
I did see that. It was a lot to submit to it.
yeah,
I know.
yeah.
I saw.
You had to like go on their special app and everything in
Right.
order to,
I did. I downloaded all the stuff to do it, and then I sort of never got back to it.
yeah,
But I mean, I really didn't. I don't really have anything ready to go, at this moment. But
yeah.
urban arts. Yeah, I remember that now.
Yeah, but that's a good question. I'm going to explore that a little bit because the theme of hmm, it could be really interesting.
It can be interesting. It could also be divisive. I mean, the way people are nowadays. But I mean, that's the way that's why I've gone back to school to pursue this degree in socially engaged art. To me, that's what I'm interested in. I'm interested in progressing that dialogue, and for other things too, environmental stuff. I mean, let's have some sculpture about climate change. How awesome
Yeah,
would that be? I thought
yeah,
about for Henry Street, Gainsborough, that area, to do something like a Grauman's Chinese Theater sidewalk walk of famous African Americans, Oscar Micheaux, you know, different people that have lived in the area and worked. I think just something like that where people could just walk on it and really see the footsteps of these people. I don't know.
mhm,
Those are the kind of ideas I think about.
yeah. Yeah, and I kind of feel like I'll be excited when we in the spring. I think in the spring we'll get started on it, but our next arts and cultural plan, and I've been thinking about what that's going to, what it could look like. And I feel like you can just, all the energy that I'm feeling around community-based projects, projects that are driven by neighborhoods. Next in the spring, I'm hoping we can gather at the Taubman Museum and do this series, but the series will be on artists working in community, and we're going to use this artist and community handbook that really looks at like a philosophy of how you facilitate a community's project rather than place your project in a neighborhood.
Right. It's
Yeah.
putting the work with the community ahead of whatever the end product is. It's the
Yeah.
actual. I know that paper. It's a great paper. I'm actually using that in one of my studies.
Oh, good.
Helicon Collective, I think it is.
Well, and this one, they might have worked on this one. This was out of Springboard for the Arts.
Yeah,
Uh, yeah. That's yeah.
yeah.
So I just think it'd be great to get a good group of us, in a social, because we can do it socially distanced at the museum, and Cindy Peterson's all is game for it. But I think we can start to build, this, like, what if we had a collective of artists who were all thinking this way in the community?
Yes.
Yeah.